Okay, so getting started, again, this is what we're aiming towards, but let's start from scratch. So let's create a new spreadsheet based off of, our raw data. So we'll go to our raw data here and right click on the tab and we'll choose move or copy. And we'll move this to the end and make sure that you click this box that says create a copy. So that way it creates a copy of this raw data spreadsheet instead of moving it into the end. So we'll click OK. And then here you can see it's called raw data 2, meaning this is a copy of that spreadsheet earlier. And let's just call this, you can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it box plots. You can see the spreadsheet next to it. This is what I just showed you, what we're aiming for. But this is the copy here. And I'm going to scroll over a little bit. So I'm going to create 2 box plots based off of the height and the drop random variables. So to get started, I'm just going to left click and hold, or no, just left click and select this column for height. And then I'll hold the shift key down and then I'll click the next column, just column F, and that's going to be the 2 source random variables. If I wanted to maybe graph height and length instead at the same time, if I hold the shift key down, it's going to select this column in between. And that may not be what you want. If you go to insert a chart now, you're actually going to end up with 3 box plots, 1 for each column. So if you wanted to create 2 at the same time, but they happen to not be next to each other, then when you click the first column like that, just click it as normal. But then when you go to click the second one, instead of holding the shift key down, hold the control key down. So if I hold the control key down and left click on this column, you can see it did not select this column F in between E and G. Okay, so that's just a little trick. So use control to select 2 separate columns. Use shift if you want to select all the columns between a first and a last one. Okay, so I'm going to use shift just to select these 2. And now we want to insert a box plot. So we'll go to insert and come over here to this charts subribbon. And inside the charts subribbon, we do not see box plots. We don't see a little icon for that. So on the lower right-hand corner of this ribbon, you'll see there's like a little downward arrow. If you left click that, okay, it's going to bring up this insert chart dialog window. And again, we do not see box plots here, but that's under recommended charts. If we come over here to this tab, which says all charts, and we left click on that, now we have a litany of different charts we can create. And one of them is box and whisker. So remember, box and whisker is another name for a box plot. So if I left click on that, you see now the box and whisker chart is chosen and it's showing me a preview of what it's going to look like. So now I'll just click OK. And you can see now it has created 2 box plots. This first one is this height column, column E, and this second one is this drop column or column F. And so I'm just going to left click here on the chart area and hold down the left mouse button so I can drag and kind of move that over. Actually, I might want to bring it over a little bit that way. All right. So now that we've created the chart, we want to start changing the properties of this chart. So let's right click on the chart. Let me see, try and get that. Yeah, Okay, so right click and put format chart area. And you can see it's bringing up options here for the chart area. Now I'm going to move this over so you can see all of it. And yeah, we want to make sure it's the chart area. If you click here, okay, now it's the plot area. And you can see now it's got this inner selection around the plot area. We actually want the chart area, which is this bounding box around the outside. And the first thing we'll do is we'll expand this border option. And under border, we'll put no line. So that'll take this line on the outside out. All right, so that's good. And fill, we'll just put no fill. Oh no, we want, actually we'll make it white. That'll be good. So under fill, you could put solid fill and make it white and non-transparent. Okay. And then if you come over here to this icon, which is size and properties, left click that. And let's go under size. And let's change the size to 4 inches by 6 inches. Okay, so that's really kind of threatening, like all the space I've made available here for this video. Okay, but that should be good enough. And you can see this chart, I can drag it around on top of the spreadsheet and it doesn't interact with the spreadsheet. So I generally would do something like this, so that my chart doesn't, cover my data. But if I do that, you won't be able to see everything that I'm doing to the chart. So I'm going to drag this over and kind of center it there so you can see the whole chart. Okay. So we've set the size. We don't have to worry about the scale or scale width. Now, if you try to change the size and this box was checked where it says lock aspect ratio, then you'll notice that as soon as I change this number and I click over here, it automatically changes this one. So it keeps the relative dimensions of width and height constant. But if I uncheck that and I change this dimension, you'll notice it didn't do the width dimension as well. So if you have trouble getting it to 4 by 6 exactly, check and see if this is checked, and maybe uncheck it and see if you can change this independently so you can get it to be 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall. All right, and then go to properties, and let's scroll down. And under properties, you can put move, but don't size with cells. So if you end up deleting some of these rows or deleting some of these columns, it won't affect the size of the chart. It'll just kind of move it around a little bit, and that's okay. These other settings, you can just leave that alone. Okay, so that's how to create the box plot chart initially and set some of the properties for the chart area.